Well, I see you found your way here, or perhaps you took a wrong turn and ended up here anyway. Regardless, I hope you will stick around for a while. I plan to. I don't know, maybe I'll decide to just check out partway through. We'll see what happens. This is WVU Football Going Deep, where we mostly talk football, but these days we do sometimes talk a little bit of basketball, or I do. One note before I get into the main video, and you've probably already seen the story, but just in case, Rodney Gallagher has officially changed uniform numbers. He's now 24, and this will enable him to play on the offensive or defensive side without having to change jerseys in between. Now, this does not mean he's going to be on the defense. It is only so if they decide or need to. And I still think it's mostly just if they happen to need to or want to throw in a little wrinkle. I do not expect to see Gallagher on any regular basis, barring, Lord help us, several injuries among the defensive backs. We are definitely deeper there than we have been in 5 years, maybe more. And I think we are more talented there than we have been in a decade. But Gallagher, I think he might get in for a couple of plays against Albany just to try things out. I wouldn't be surprised if he does not play another play on defense the entire season. It would not be a big deal. If he plays every now and then on defense, it would not be a big deal. Remember, this is just an experiment. It is not major news yet. All right. I did a video for the defensive side of the ball where I color-coded the roster, put them in like a depth chart, just to kind of take a look at things from that perspective and see what it might tell us. I have included the incoming freshmen who have not necessarily arrived yet, but should be showing up relatively soon. I have included 2 or 3 walk-ons, but not most of the walk-ons. I did not include Murphy Clement. He probably will be a big factor somewhere down the line, but probably not this year. Now keep in mind, word is that the younger brother is faster than his brother Hudson, or faster than Hudson was in high school. Hudson is now faster than he was in high school, so Murphy may have some catching up to do. But that puts Murphy into the same speed class as A.J. Horton. Everybody was worried about losing Horton. Horton was fast, but he didn't seem to want to learn to run routes. And they say you can't teach speed, which is not entirely true, only partly true. But you can defend against speed. It is a lot harder to defend against technique. So I think it'll take a while for Murphy to learn the technique. But if he's anything like his brother, he will certainly be willing. And we should see more technique out of Hudson. Hudson Clement. I don't want to just go with first names. I'm old school. Before I get way off track, more so with the receivers, I want to go through things a little more organized. Color coding, the green means that a guy has used up his eligibility this year and then bye-bye, unless they come back as a GA in the future or some such. But if you look at the green, we lose a lot up front after this year. Of course, now that means we're very experienced this year, much like last year. And this is the same thing we face on the defensive side. None of this is a surprise, because when Coach Brown came in, one of the early emphasis was line, offense and defense. And they went young on both sides. Now, we're at that point where we've kind of gotten the payoff on that. Next year, we get the problem of losing that many guys at once. But the recruiting has been good, consistent, and planned. So you look behind Milam, we've got Williams. I threw Terry in there. Most of the first name is the guy I expect to be the starter. The second name might or might not be the guy I expect to be backup. And after that, it's mostly just getting the names in someplace. I'm not going to predict order far in advance. And some of these guys are going to move, whether, center guard, tackle, left side, right side, they're going to bounce a while. Remack, we've got Weedman behind him. Biggs was playing well before injured last year. Hamilton seems to be coming back from his previous injury finally. Behind Hubbard, we've got Cray. Behind Yates, Livingston, who should be solid. Altuner, who should sooner or later be great. Probably not next year, but could be. Have to see how that plays out. I do not expect Altuner to start this year at any position, and would really prefer that he redshirt if possible. Then a right tackle, Malone should be solid. He may step up past being solid, but we've got Bosley, who should be a high rate tackle when he develops a little more. I don't expect him to take over that spot this year. He might, don't expect it. Or possibly later in the season if he has come along. And then we've got Young and Austin. And Austin is one of these guys who should be a top flight lineman. So we have talent up front, talent and experience. Then we go to talent and not so much experience, but we probably won't face another year where we lose, 4 out of 5 linemen. Some years we might lose 3. But the recruiting has been spread out well so that the talent is there every year. But most of the time, it's not going to be everybody in one class. Tight end, we do lose Taylor after this year. Shoot, I forgot to check about Traylon Davis. I'm not sure if he's got one more year after this or not. But people did not mention much in the spring game. Davis was catching passes. And on at least one of them, he did a decent bit of running afterwards. He is more mobile this year. He has worked on it. He is succeeding. This is important. He is not going to be a downfield threat like Taylor, but he is going to be a receiving threat that teams have to learn to pay attention to. So you will not be able to determine what's happening just based on whether or not Davis is on the field. Dixon caught a couple of passes. We're still not too sure how ready he's going to be this year. They are still looking at tight ends in the portal. Something might happen there, might not. But then we've got Braham and Samarco. Wickstrom I've got at the bottom. If Wickstrom sees the field, it will be on special teams. I figure if he were not an international student, he would probably either transfer or retire. He just is not going anywhere with this team, it appears. And West Virginia has already signed a 2025 tight end. Another of these like 6'7" guys. So, yeah. Tight end is looking like a strength for years to come. Every position is looking like a strength now. Back to the receivers. I did want to mention the red color coding is for guys who were out for all or most of spring. Some did not participate at all. Others did some walkthroughs. Donaldson, did everything that did not include hitting, and could have played if it were a game, but no point in risking it. But that means come fall camp, we get our starting left guard, starting tight end, and one of the starting running backs back in the game. So we do pick up a lot that we didn't see in spring. That upgrades things significantly. And most of the, Remack certainly didn't need more reps. He's experienced. Biggs, probably could have used it, but he's been here a while. Taylor needs to improve blocking. Could have used some work on that. But he did get, in terms of running sharper routes, that he could do, even though his shoulder was healing. And Donaldson, like I say, could do most anything except contact. The gold, more or less, are the freshmen coming in. Whether or not any of them will make a difference isn't known. Farmer's the most likely. Collins and Robinson certainly could on special teams. Raymond might play some at receiver, but I wouldn't expect it. We are not in a position where we have to throw these guys in before they're ready, the way we, have had to do in the past, including a fair amount last year. A lot of people are still down on the receiving room, and it frustrates me. These guys are good. These guys are largely fast. Hudson Clement definitely got speed. Jarrell Williams, I'm not sure how fast he is. He's not slow by any means. And the people who are down, they're not experienced yet, with the exception, Bray to some degree, and Fox, of course. But they're pointing out, okay, Gallagher didn't do much in the spring game. Well, they didn't try to do much with him. I don't think they really wanted to show, Gallagher or Bray much in the spring game. Those are the two guys that teams have not seen really. But Gallagher is going to know the position for this season. And that's going to open up a lot of things. If you look at the statistics last year, no, we did not have a 1,000-yard receiver. We did not have, I don't think, an 800-yard receiver. Taylor was up near the top, and but you have to remember, for the first 5 games at least, the passing game was very limited. With Green, he was still getting into the swing of things. And the 2 games that Markiel had to start, they threw almost no passes. He wasn't really ready to do that much passing last year. Be a big difference this year. We saw that comfort level jump. So if you really want to judge these receivers from last year, you look at essentially the last 5 games, including the bowl game. And we're doing 200, 300 yards a game passing, and receivers had much better. Most of the stats you see from last year for these guys were the last 5 games. They looked much better. Now, most of them put on muscle, not just weight, muscle. Ray and Gallagher especially were still much too light. Clement had put on some his freshman year, needed more. So we are coming, and Fox, made a big difference in his body, even though he's been for here a while. Everybody upped their game. So the receivers are going to be very good. They are still, Brown would like one guy who is tall and fast, 6'3" or up. How hard they're going to push for that, I don't know. They've got a guy coming in for a visit. Have to see how that plays out. I'm not worried. If we add one more experienced guy to help the young guys out, great. But I don't consider it a need. Dropping into the backfield, of course, Garrett Green, starting quarterback. Last year, we've got Markiel behind him. And Markiel is ready. After that, we're looking at Wilkins as the other scholarship quarterback. He'll be coming in fairly soon, I think. And then we've got Keene and Christ, who are walk-ons. They are not bad quarterbacks. So we're covered at quarterback. I do not see a problem there. Yeah, we get 2 quarterbacks out. That will affect the record. But right now, I think with Green or Markiel, we win 10 games. Running backs, I'm going to call White and Donaldson co-starters, whether they're on the field at the same time or not. Which of them actually starts the game may vary depending on the defense they're facing. Who gets the most touches, whether it's handoffs or passes, and we will see more passes thrown to the backs, more passes completed to the backs compared to last year. Green showed the touch in the spring game. Anderson, number 3, how much he'll play, don't know. But I do think that, much like last year, they will feed the hot hand. So starter is one thing, finisher, that will be another. Not going to rule out some playing time by Clay Ash. He has shown some things in camp. And we have Dunbar and Hubbard coming in, 2 excellent backs. Don't know if we'll be able to keep both of them over the next several years. And then behind them, we've got Judah Price and Colin McBee. McBee will mostly be working as fullback in special teams, but can play running back in a pinch. Price, of course, is still probably a bit too light. If he can put on another 5 pounds or so, might be able to do more playing time, but probably will be involved in special teams this year. But just, looking at who's leaving, who's coming up, who's coming in, 2024 looks very good. but so does 2025, 2026. And if you look at the pattern, it is just the future looks bright. All right. Kind of hope that gave you a different perspective on the offense. You know, you can play around, look at the color coding however you want. I probably could have added 2 or 3 colors to look at it in different ways. But, well, there's the present and the future laid out on paper. I probably had some other things I was going to say, but I didn't write a script, so I don't know what they were. And it is time for me to say thank you. Please subscribe, click the notification bell, click the thumbs up, click to share, make comments, let's talk a bit, and I have no idea what the next video will be, but I'll think of something. So long.